The sweet sound of Crunch a Candy Revolution. Well folks, gather round because there's a new kid on the snack block, or rather, an old technique making new waves. I'm talking about freeze-dried candy. You've probably seen it, maybe you've heard it, that unmistakable, super satisfying crunch. It's everywhere these days, from your social media feeds to specialty candy shops, little puffs of what used to be chewy, gummy, or hard candies now transformed into something entirely different. It's a textural adventure, a flavor phenomenon, and frankly, a bit of a head-scratcher for some. Why are people going bonkers for candy that's had all the moisture sucked out of it? We're going to dive into that. Imagine your favorite chewy fruit snack, the one that usually sticks to your teeth. Now picture it light as air, crispy, and melting on your tongue almost instantly. This trend has taken familiar treats and given them a wild new personality. It's like seeing a quiet librarian suddenly breakdancing. Unexpected, a little weird, but undeniably fascinating. And it's got everyone talking, and more importantly, tasting. Shops are popping up, online stores can barely keep them in stock, and DIY enthusiasts are even trying their hand at making their own. It's a full-blown craze, my friends, so buckle up your taste buds. Science magic. How does freeze-drying even work? Alright, let's put on our lab coats for a moment. Don't worry, there won't be a quiz. Freeze-drying, or lyophilization if you want to impress your friends at parties, is a pretty clever process. It's all about removing water. But not just any old drying. Oh no, this is special. First you take your candy, or whatever food item you're working with, and you freeze it. I mean really freeze it. We're talking super cold, way below the freezing point of water. This turns all the water inside the candy into tiny ice crystals. That's step one. Simple enough, right? Now for the magic trick, or rather the science. Once everything is frozen solid, the food is placed into a vacuum chamber. Under this low pressure, something fascinating happens to those ice crystals. Instead of melting into water, they turn directly into water vapor, a gas. This process is called sublimation. It's like the ice just vanishes, poof. Bypassing the liquid stage entirely is key here. It's what gives freeze-dried food its unique structure. Why go through all this trouble? Well, removing water this way does a couple of important things. First, it preserves the food incredibly well. From space food to sweet treats, a brief history of lyophilization. Now, freeze-drying wasn't invented yesterday just so we could have puffy Skittles. Oh no, this technology has some serious and rather old roots. The basic principle was actually known way back. With indigenous communities in the Andes freeze-drying potatoes, they called it chuno, by exposing them to freezing night temperatures and sunny days at high altitudes. But the modern industrial process, the lyophilization we know, really took off during World War II. It was a game changer for preserving blood serum and penicillin, allowing these life-saving materials to be shipped long distances without refrigeration. Pretty important stuff, wouldn't you say? After the war, the applications expanded. Think about astronauts. Floating around in space, they can't exactly whip up a 5-course meal with fresh ingredients. NASA adopted freeze-drying in the 1960s for its Apollo missions. This allowed them to provide astronauts with lightweight, long-lasting food that could be easily rehydrated. Remember that astronaut ice cream? That's a classic example of early consumer-facing freeze-dried food. Meet the star's popular freeze-dried candy sensations. Alright, let's get to the good stuff, the candy itself. The headliners of this freeze-dried show. One of the undisputed champions of the freeze-dried world is, without a doubt, Skittles. Or, as they're often called in their puffy alter ego, Rainbow Puffs, Cosmic Crunchers, or something equally whimsical. The original chewy little spheres transform into larger, incredibly light and crispy balls. The shell cracks easily, and the inside, once chewy, becomes a melt-in-your-mouth cloud of concentrated fruit flavor. Each color still boasts its signature taste, but the texture is a complete game-changer. It's like eating a crunchy rainbow. Then you have the gummy family. Gummy bears, gummy worms, gummy rings, you name it, they can be freeze-dried. These guys puff up significantly, sometimes to 2 or 3 times their original size. They become incredibly brittle and airy, a far cry from their dense, chewy origins. The experience is less about the prolonged chew and more about a quick, satisfying shatter followed by a rapid dissolve. The flavors often seem more intense, perhaps because they hit your palate more directly without the gummy matrix slowing things down. Why that crunch is so addictive. So we've talked about what these candies become, but why the obsession? A huge part of it, perhaps the biggest, is texture. Humans are wired to appreciate texture in food. Think about the crispness of a fresh apple, the crunch of a potato chip, the creaminess of ice cream. Texture adds another dimension to eating, making it more interesting, more satisfying, and freeze-dried candy delivers a texture that is, quite frankly, unlike almost anything else in the confectionery world. It's a novel sensation, and our brains love novelty. That signature crunch is addictive. It's light, it's airy, it's often described as shatteringly crisp. When you bite into a freeze-dried Skittle, for example, it doesn't resist like a normal Skittle. It yields instantly, breaking into 1,000 tiny, flavorful pieces that then melt away. This is a far cry from the prolonged chewiness we associate with many traditional candies. For people who might not like overly chewy sweets, or those with dental work that makes chewy candies a no-go, freeze-dried versions offer a fantastic alternative. It's all the flavor, with none of the jaw workout. More than just sweet. While texture might be the main event, let's not forget about flavor. Because freeze-drying doesn't just change how candy feels in your mouth, it can also subtly, and sometimes not so subtly, alter how it tastes. Or, more accurately, how we perceive its taste. When you remove water from food, you concentrate everything else that's left behind. This includes sugars, acids, and all those lovely flavor compounds that make a strawberry taste like a strawberry or a lemon like a lemon. So, in many cases, the flavors in freeze-dried candy can seem more intense, more direct. Think about it. With a regular chewy candy, the flavor is often released gradually as you chew and dissolve the candy. The gummy matrix, or the hard candy structure, holds on to those flavor molecules, letting them go slowly. But with freeze-dried candy, that structure is gone. It's replaced by a porous, airy lattice. When this hits your tongue, it dissolves rapidly, releasing that concentrated burst of flavor all at once. It's like going from a slow-drip coffee to a shot of espresso. The TikTok effect. How social media fueled the craze. Now you can have the crunchiest texture and the most explosive flavor, but in today's world, that might not be enough to create a global phenomenon. Enter social media, the great amplifier of trends. Platforms like TikTok, Instagram Reels, and YouTube Shorts have played an absolutely massive role in launching freeze-dried candy into the stratosphere. It's a match made in digital heaven. Why? Because freeze-dried candy is incredibly visual and auditory. It's perfect for short, engaging video content that these platforms thrive on. Think about those satisfying videos. The crunch of freeze-dried candy is ASMR gold. People love watching and hearing someone bite into a puffy, crispy treat, the sound amplified for maximum effect. It's mesmerizing. Then there are the transformation videos, showing the candy before and after freeze-drying. The dramatic puffing up of Skittles or gummy bears is visually striking and inherently shareable. Freeze-drying candy in your own kitchen. So, you're intrigued, you've seen the videos, you've heard the crunch, and now you're thinking, can I make this stuff myself? The answer is, possibly. But it's not quite as simple as tossing some gummy bears in your freezer and hoping for the best. True freeze-drying, the kind that gives you that signature light and crispy texture, requires a special piece of equipment, a home freeze dryer. These machines aren't exactly cheap, folks. They represent a significant investment, often running into thousands of dollars. So, it's not a casual purchase for most. If you do decide to take the plunge and get a home freeze dryer, the process for candy is relatively straightforward, though it takes time. First, you'll arrange your chosen candies on the trays that come with the machine. It's best to space them out a bit, as some candies, especially gummies, can expand quite a lot. Then, you load the trays into the freeze dryer. Safety first, sweetness second. Home freeze-drying pointers. Alright, so you're either seriously considering a home freeze dryer, or you've already got one whirring away in your utility room. Fantastic! But before you go turning your entire pantry into a crunchy wonderland, let's talk safety and best practices. Because even when you're dealing with something as fun as candy, a little bit of know-how goes a long way in keeping things safe and successful. These machines are powerful, and like any piece of kitchen equipment, they demand respect and proper handling. First off, cleanliness is next to godliness, especially in food preservation. Make sure your freeze dryer trays are scrupulously clean before each use. Wash them thoroughly with soap and water and ensure they are completely dry. Any lingering food particles or moisture can lead to contamination or affect the efficiency of the freeze-drying process. The machine itself will also have cleaning and maintenance guidelines from the manufacturer. Follow them diligently. This isn't just about good results, it's about food safety, even for something as seemingly indestructible as candy. Would you try freeze-dried candy? What snack should we freeze-dry next? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell for more wild food facts and viral snack experiments. See you next time, snackers.